I want to give you 3 tips that are going to help you break that 90 barrier. They don't require you to make massive swing changes and seeing that you need technical lessons and seeing that you have hours down on the range working at it. These are all to do with what we face out on the golf course. But what we need to understand is that when we're out on the golf course here at Warrington Par 71, I only need to make a bogey a hole to see that I would break that 90 barrier. So I don't have to be playing the best golf ever. I might throw the odd par in, I can throw the odd double in. I need to take big numbers off my card, but I can plod along and make bogeys as I'm going through it. So your first tip is all about finding a reliable tee club. And what I mean by that, I'm on the 18th hole here at Warrington. There's 3 bunkers that go all the way down the right hand side. There's also out of bounds to the right. I have got some trees down the left, but I've also got another fairway there. This hole would wreck a lot of people's cards because they would look at it and think, oh my God, the out of bounds there, there's a main road just to the right, and start to get nervous. But because it's a long par 4, 460 I think, they would pull driver out, not confident in it. But what we need to do is find a club in our bag, i.e. a driver, a 3-wood, a hybrid, or potentially one of your longer irons. But if you can get it to be one of your woods, that would help just in terms of distance. But you need a club that you know, when you get this club out, you're going to strike it okay. It doesn't have to be absolutely crushed each time. But when you stood over it, you can think, right, well, I've got a fairway part. This one isn't actually going to get me to the end bunker, which would be my worry with driver. And also I can't hit it that wild to get me out of bounds. And it might be certain holes on the golf course that you always make a double on or a triple because you're just picking driver, you're not comfortable with it. But you need to find that club that you think, right, okay, well, if it's not all going to plan today, I can fall back on my trusty hybrid, my trusty 2-iron, my 5-wood, 7-wood, whatever it may be that gets you somewhere down that fairway and keeps you in play. Don't just be playing the club that you think you should be playing and trying to get the score going by hitting that amazing drive. Like I said a minute ago, you only need a bogey a hole, so plod it down there. I could hit 3 shots that are going to go 150 and I'm only going to be 50 yards or 60 yards from the front of this green. So my rescue club that goes 220, 225, I know I can hit up the left and keep me in play and keep me away from all my trouble. Nicely away, I've steered away from that trouble. It's caught just the edge of the trees there, but I was aiming down into that part. But you know what? I can play down to near the green, and then from there I can get onto the green in 3 and I can start to build my golf score. So try and spend a little bit of time finding out which club you're most comfortable with off the tee and put that into play when you find yourself in a nervous situation. Let's go and take a look at another tip. Tip number 2 is all about not compounding errors and making unforced errors. We find ourselves here in the rough just after that tee shot. Now, it wasn't a bad tee shot, but what I don't want to do is cause myself any more trouble by getting caught up in the trees. I could, if I was feeling really risky, try and go at the green. Don't want to do that. Like I say, no unforced errors. A couple of things that I need to understand to get this back out into play to help me set up a next easier shot is this canopy of trees here and the distance I need to hit this golf ball. Firstly, those canopies hanging down are only like 8 foot high, so I can't get this ball going upwards. And then secondly, I want to hit this about 60, 70 yards. For that sort of distance, I would normally use a lob wedge, but like I said, I can't get it going up into the trees. So I'm going to select something with a little less loft, my 7-iron here. What I'm then going to do is change how I play it, because this would normally go 175, but I need to just hit it that 60, 70 yards. So what I'm going to do, number 1, make my stance smaller. So a really small stance here as we start. I'm going to grip down the golf club to try and make it a little bit shorter. From there then, I'm going to lean my weight towards the target, about 70% of weight lent towards the target. Then all I'm going to do is see that the shaft's leaning a little bit towards the target, then the triangle created between my shoulders and my hands, I'm going to make some rocking motions like this about waist height, and that should see that it keeps it low enough and then gets it flighted over the initial bit of rough here about 30 yards, and then would run out that extra bit of distance to get me back into the fairway to set up that. So let's go for that. We put it middle of our stance, small setup, lean, down the grip, little rock, and there, one bounce in the rough, and it's run nicely out into the fairway, not made another error, and I'm good to go. Another little bonus tip on this, all about playing at flags. Let's just take a look at that quickly in the fairway, because what we don't want to be doing is aiming at a flag that is tight next to a bunker or water hazard, just missing it and ending up in there. If you find a flag that's close to some trouble, try and play a little bit more towards the fat part of the green and see that you don't force yourself into an unforced error from a close distance in when you should be hitting more greens from that spot. Tip number 3 is all about confidence around the greens. I found myself in a scenario now where I've got quite an upslope up onto this green, and it will require something where I've got a little bit more loft, and I'm playing a shot, something a little bit like that, where I'm throwing it up and letting it run out towards the green. Some people might not be confident with do that, so what you would want to do is pick another club and see that you might get a little bit more confidence as you do it, because a bad chip isn't going to work sometimes, but sometimes with a putter you probably end up getting a little bit closer and actually ending up with a better result. So even though this isn't the club necessarily for this shot because of the steepness of the slope and all the dew on the greens, if I actually come here and I'm confident and I just give it a bit more of a bigger swing, I'm not going to be scared that I'm going to duff it back towards my feet, and I can get it rolling out towards the flag, and that's actually ended up very, very close, all because I picked a club that I had a bit more confidence in instead of standing over there petrified, duffing it and wasting shots. So 3 simple tips there that you can do without even changing your golf swing that are going to help you break that 90 barrier. Guys, hope you've enjoyed that lesson. Hit that subscribe button if you have, and I'll see you in your next one. Hopefully you've broke that 90 as well.